Sorry, Kara. You can't match my style.
Austin Katie, oh, Austin Katie, oh, Austin Katie, oh, Austin Katie.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see from the title, background, and thumbnail, we are talking about Supergirl, brand new DCEU from James Gunn's DC Cinematic Universe. Just gonna tell you real quick before we get into that. Did I want this to be the next installment of the DCU franchise after Superman? No. There could have been so many other characters that I feel like they could have chose from, like, Martian Manhunter, possibly a Green Lantern movie. I know we're getting the Lantern show. But was Supergirl my initial, yes, I need to see Supergirl? Was it cool to see her show up at the end of Superman? Of course. I thought that was great. And then, of course, when we had that little announcement for a couple years ago that they were doing a Supergirl movie, and they're going to be adapting the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow storyline. Of course, I picked up the book and I read it. And I just actually finished reading it a couple of days, actually a couple months ago. And I gotta say, just a little, quick little plug-in. Comic book's great. It's a really good comic book. If you want a really good Supergirl story, go read Woman of Tomorrow. And so that actually got me excited for the movie. I was like, oh my God, if that movie is going to be as good as this book, I want to see that come to life. I want to see the colors. I want to see the characters. I want to see everything on the big screen. Then we got that first trailer, and I was like, oh, I see a little bit of remnants. I see a little bit of Woman of Tomorrow in there. Not exactly. Where's the color? And so, you know what? But still, I was excited. Big Superman person. Love all of Superman projects. Even watched the Melissa Benoist CW Supergirl show, which thought that was a good show. Wish they would have gave her non-Superman villains. But either way, I've always loved anything from the super category. Even all his variants, Superboy, Steel, all Cyborg Superman. I love anything Superman, especially my boy Superman. So obviously got invited early to a press screening for Supergirl where they gave out like fucking swag bags, and they had a little crypto poster when you walked in. Got to even meet my boy 3C. What's up, man? That's like my fourth time meeting him at these press screenings. He probably thinks I'm stalking him. I promise you I'm not. Yeah, it was a fun event. Sat down, excited to see Supergirl, and I'm gonna be honest, I walked out thinking, why is everybody calling this movie mid? I thought this movie was really great. Like what my intro, gave a little bit of a vibe to. Is it Superman? No, I walked out of Superman loving that movie, man. Like I loved that movie. Watched it 4 fucking times in the theater. I got really emotionally attached to that version of Superman. That's why I bought this costume. That's why I got this poster back here. I love that version of Superman. David Cornsweet's Superman. We'll get to him in a minute because he is in this movie. He has the potential to tap Cavill as my favorite Superman. But again, we'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, is it as good as Superman? Not at all. Not at all. But what I think we have here is a very good Kara-centric Supergirl movie. And so I'm just going to get into it real quick. And this is going to be non-spoiler because the movie's not officially out yet, and I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. I usually don't mind talking about spoilers or really just get into my nitty-gritty thoughts on the channel, but I usually do that when the movie's wide. So this is going to be non-spoiler, so I'm going to be very vague about some things. I don't know if I'm going to do a spoiler conversation later on, maybe, but for right now, this is just what you're going to get. So starting off with the positives that I liked, I thought Millie Alcock, is that how you say your name? Millie Alcock, she did great as Supergirl. I like her version of Kara. I liked for the little bit that we had at the end of Superman. I thought it was cool. But seeing this character, seeing her be this emotional, seeing her be this version of Kara that's just very destroyed, very depressed. She has pretty much the same code as Superman, but a very different code, which is like Superman was born to just do nothing but good, be good, give everybody good, see the light in everybody. Where Kara, her little responsibility tag was, hey, just be good. No matter if you're mean, no matter if you're tough, no matter if you're this or that, just be good and you will be good. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So they basically have the same code, just have different ways of being good. So I enjoyed Kara in this movie a lot. I enjoyed seeing the backstory of Krypton, seeing how that evolved, which that leads into some more speculation with Superman and his parents more down the line. But again, that's getting into spoilers. So I love seeing the destruction of Krypton, seeing how that planet eventually fell. I love seeing how she met Crypto. Do I feel like it's a little like not as Not as sentimental as I wanted it to be, sure, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. I enjoyed seeing how her and Crypto met, and I just loved seeing the coming ups of Kara. As you can see in the trailer, this is not a spoiler. Superman is in the movie, and I loved the little flashback moments where we cut back to Superman, and Superman's teaching Kara. Superman's giving her her suit. You know, she doesn't feel like Earth is her home, just like Superman feels like, Earth is his home. She doesn't feel that way. And I thought that was just great. I thought those were all great building moments for Kara. I thought that was great moments to build up Kara's character. Because again, I'm not going to lie and sit here and say that I'm the biggest Supergirl fan in the world. Again, I know enough about her to enjoy her, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the biggest Supergirl fan. So I enjoyed the backstory and the story that they gave with Kara. I enjoyed Kara's little companion that she makes along the way, Ruthie. Do I feel like she's as strong as she was in the comic? Kind of. I feel like she's about the same. I enjoyed her about the same as I did in the comic as I did in the movie. Um, the only character from the comic that is in this movie that I didn't enjoy as much was Krem in the Yellow Hills. I thought in the book he was severely better than he is here in the movie. I feel like in the movie they don't do enough development of his character to make you understand why he's a villain, to give you that sense of, oh my god, this dude's bad, other than just showing that he, fucking does messed up shit and that he is just looks evil. And I'm like, that he just makes for a very bland villain, where in this book I don't think he's a bland villain at all. He's actually a very interesting, very, I wouldn't say iconic, but he's a very interesting villain for Kara. In the movies, this didn't translate that very well. They just made him look scary. He did scary things, and that just makes him a villain. No, that's a very meh villain. I think they dropped the ball on the villain. Another character that is in this movie that is not in the book that I thought they did an amazing job with, Jason Momoa as Lobo. Now, when I heard that way back when James Gunn got announced as the head of DC, and they were like, "Hey, Jason Momoa's coming back and he's playing a different character. He's playing fucking Lobo." I was like, um, all right. I mean, that works. I'm not gonna say it doesn't, but he kind of played a little bit of a Lobo character in Aquaman, so okay, let's see it. Let's see how you do it. I thought he did great. Now, does he still have some Aquaman mannerisms? Sure. He still does the oh yeah and woohoo, like stuff like that. Yeah. But I thought he put on an accent for Lobo. He looks more like Lobo. And I love how Lobo was just a very established character already in the universe, that you didn't need this like 12-second, 15-second monologue dialogue of like Lobo killed his parents and blah, 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 blah. I mean, they have that, but it's like 2 seconds to be like, oh, that's Lobo. He killed his parents. He's a fucking mean dude. Don't mess with them. That's it. But there wasn't some like elaborate, oh my god, we got to explain Lobo. It's just like, no, that's Lobo. He's in the universe. Don't fuck with him, and we move on. I like that because it showed that Lobo already has an established presence in the universe. He already has a sort of backstory. He already has sort of this sort of legacy in the universe that, hey, Lobo's a bad motherfucker. Don't mess with him. I enjoyed his time in the movie where he literally just came in. He had his own mission that just ended up having to bleed in with Kara's, and that he fulfilled his mission and then he fucked off. That was it. Like, I'm like, all right. Like, it wasn't one of those, actually, there's a reason Kara and Lobo have a back. Like, no, they didn't do nothing like that. It was literally, he's on a mission, she's on a mission. They just happen to go after the same person. He fulfills his mission, then he fucks off. He literally just says bye tits and then leaves. And I'm like, okay. I enjoyed that. Because those Marvel movies sometimes, like when Black Panther showed up or Spider-Man show up, they have to like kind of wrap it in a little bow that like sets it off into their own little movie, where this was just like, nope, Lobo came, he did his thing, and he fucked off. I'm like, okay, cool. So I enjoyed Lobo in this movie. The only thing that I really didn't like, and I'm gonna get into it a little bit, I felt like the movie was lacking color. Like, if you looked at any images from the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic, it is colorful, it is bright, it is almost like Guardians Galaxy #1, not second or third, but like Guardians of Galaxy #1 vibrant of color. And I feel like this movie was missing that, when the comic is just so beautiful that I'm like, you could have translated some of these scenes awesome into the movie. It would have been a beautiful movie. And the movie just kind of is dull looking. And compared to Superman from last year, where everybody complained it's a little too colorful, it's a little too bright, I feel like that should have been applied to Supergirl's movie. The other thing too, and this is going to be a minor spoiler. It's not even really spoiling. I'm just more preparing anybody for if this is what they are expecting from this movie. It is not. Her horse does not show up. I was hoping that we're going to have a little surprise. Oh my God, her horse shows up. Her horse is not in the movie, which sucks because I think her horse would have been a very cool companion. I know they have Crypto, but I feel like the horse would have been a really cool companion for Kara in the movie. So her horse does not show up. The other thing I really didn't like a lot is I felt like the main drive of what our characters were going after kind of got a little muddled. Where you have Kara, she's going after Krem because he has the antidote because as you see in the trailer, he did something to Crypto, where Ruthie is going after Krem because he killed her father. And so they have their own, like, kind of, they need to go after Krem for their own separate reasons. And I felt like the main drive for our characters kind of got lost, where there were sometimes we were more focused on Ruthie and her revenge, and Kara was trying to stop her from having revenge. That I felt like we kind of was like, oh yeah, Crypto, because there were moments in the movie that I kept thinking like, oh okay, and oh yeah, that's right, Crypto's fucking dying right now, and we need to save him. Like, okay, I completely forgot about that storyline because I just felt like it was one of those where like you have two competing battles of a storyline, and one just kind of overshadows the other. And I felt like they just didn't focus on the one drive for Kara, where again she's more focused on stopping Ruthie from getting revenge. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, my dog. I'm like, okay. Everything that I just had a little bit of just a tiny, and this is just a little bit of a nitpick, the action sequences I think were poorly edited. Like there was a lot of needle drop moments and a lot of action sequences that just didn't hit the same. And I don't know if they were trying to replicate a James Gunn Guardians thing here or what they were trying to do, but I feel like the action sequences are poorly edited and the needle drop moments are just not at all like punk, yeah, yeah, man. Like, no. I feel like Superman had better needle drops. And even then, they didn't use real music in that movie. They used score to amplify the fucking action sequences. And I feel like that's what this movie should have had versus relying on pop culture songs and like punk rock 70s, 80s music like a Guardians. They should have just had their own score hype up these action sequences. Because that's the one thing I loved about Superman is they didn't rely on fucking music. They didn't rely on these Guardians tropes that James Gunn's known for. They used score. They used fucking score from the movie. And I feel like Supergirl should have done the same thing. And another little thing I will say, the movie does try to replicate its Guardians vibes a little too much. Just because of the simple fact that, again, you can tell from the marketing, they're trying to capitalize on the Guardians hype. They're trying to capitalize on the fact that, hey, this looks like Guardians. Come watch it. And I feel like the movie focused on that too much. I feel like the movie focused on way too much of it trying to be a Guardians clone when the movie's right there. Kara's story and the revenge storyline, everything that this book had is right there. I mean, they took literally storylines from this book and translated it into the movie. I'm not gonna say which ones because they're spoilers, but I'm like, if you would have just focused more on telling the story of Kara, telling the story of Supergirl and the revenge and the crypto aspect of it all, versus focusing on, hey, let's try to be like Guardians, you would have had a much better movie. And again, I still like this movie. I still heavily enjoyed this movie. Even though this was not a movie that I was anticipating, this wasn't a movie that I was like, yes, this is the most logical step in the DCU, Supergirl. No, I was like, okay, Supergirl's next. Let's see. And I will say, this is a movie that now that I've watched it, now that I know where we're going in Man of Tomorrow, I feel like it definitely sets up a lot of super stuff, as in like Superman, Supergirl. I feel like very much they wrap that side of the story up in terms of like, okay, I see the vision. I see the vision where we're going, James Gunn. Let's get there. So that's the only thing is I wish they would have less on the Guardians thing, less on trying to be this Guardians of the Galaxy clone, propped up Krem to be more of an interesting villain, interesting in the sense of he doesn't just look menacing, actually give us a little bit more of a, okay, I understand why this dude's a little fucked up. The color, like there's no color in this movie, like at all. It's all dull. There's some beautiful action sequences, but I feel like there would have been even more if they had the color that they did from the comic book. Now, I saved this portion for the end of my conversation because I have a lot more to say. We got to talk about Superman. I was pleasantly surprised about Superman in this movie. He is actually sprinkled throughout this movie a lot. He's not a cameo. He's not just one scene. He has like 5 different scenes in the movie. And I tell you what, man, every time he was on screen, I just smiled like a kid in a candy shop. I absolutely loved his version of this character in this movie. I mean, I love his character either way, but seeing him more in this movie really solidified. David Cornsweet's an amazing Superman. Like, honestly. And maybe Man of Tomorrow has the potential to top Henry Cavill as my favorite Superman because he is my favorite Superman. This version, David Cornsweet has the potential to tap it because, man, he's just so good in this movie. I mean, you guys saw in the clip that I reacted to here on the channel. The whole, like, I don't know why I'm yelling. Oh, you can't understand me. Like, just these little quirks, man, that he has are just so awesome. And then even like, there's one last scene between Kara and Clark in the movie. And that scene I thought was just great. Maybe that was a post-credit scene, I don't know, but either way, that was a nice scene between Kara and Superman. One of the last scenes they have together is just a great scene that definitely bleeds us into Tomorrow. So, honestly, I know a lot of people are walking away from this movie being like, "Man, it's okay." It has a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes. I actually quite enjoyed it. Again, I'm a very easy person to please. As long as you don't do anything offensive to these characters, as long as you don't do anything that I'm like, "You fucked it up. What did you do?" I'm always going to walk away being happy or at least somewhat positive. So again, I know there are people out there that are meh on the movie, calling it super meh, super this, super that. I thought it was super great. So yeah, I understand that people are going to walk away being like, meh, whatever. But for me as a DC fan, I'm happy. So you guys jump in the comments. You let me know what you think down below. And I'm excited for you guys all to see this movie. I want to hear you guys' opinion down below. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.